You're listening to the Tony Steuer Podcast, where Tony interviews financial literacy advocates who are changing the conversation on money, so you can catch up on the latest trends and ideas in the world of financial literacy and education.
Welcome to the Tony Steuer Podcast. I'm pleased to be joined today by Kyle Langstaff, Fintech and financial wellness expert. In this episode, we'll be discussing how technology empowers life insurance agents to create a better consumer experience. Kyle, welcome to the Tony Steuer Podcast. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. I mean, technology is the future of the insurance industry, even if the insurance industry is moving a little bit slowly with it. So
Absolutely.
It's going to be a great conversation.
Yeah, great
So,
value.
to get started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, hey, so to get started, tell us a little bit about, what is your origin story? How did you get started in insurance technology and financial technology?
Yeah, absolutely. And really appreciate speaking on the topic as well. Like we said, dealing with a lot of legacy systems and really trying to advance that technology, but even just not from the tech experience, but really touching on that, advancement in financial wellness through technology as well, has all really been kind of key points to my own career growth and missions as well. So that really, if we go back to the origin story of it all, where it all started was, I took my own, education path in university through business school and finance. So I always had an interest in that in some perspective as I started to reach career age. But really, like anything, as I've talked with a lot of people in the industry, is there's law school, there's medical school, but there's no insurance school in the same way. You don't learn about insurance in a business school program. So it's really about, what seems like a bit of falling into it and learning that way. So really, from most that I've spoke to in the same vein, it's either, you have your parents and they're in it and you follow, or you've fallen into it. And that's exactly what really happened to me. So while I was in university, serving at a restaurant, and just so happened that one of the tables I was waiting at one time, right towards the end of the undergrad program there, was an independent insurance advisor himself. We were speaking, talking about my finance degree and what I was looking to achieve with my own careers or opportunities. And just based on personality fit and working with people, he recommended that I come learn more about insurance advisory and financial advisory as well. And then that really got me in the industry, started up my own practice from scratch. So put some names down on a piece of paper, start reaching out to people, let them know you're a business owner now, and let's begin the journey on building a business and helping with financial wellness and growth. So it gave me a good opportunity over the years to build a fairly decent sized practice of about 180 clients in a few different time zones, building that up and really, again, helping to achieve, making clients and helping them to hit their ultimate financial goals and understanding what they wanted to do and how we could make a better experience for them. But as far as the insurance side of it, and this isn't long ago, maybe 10 years ago, if that, still running around a city with a career bag full of paper-based applications, sometimes with a giant, probably what felt like 20-pound laptop that, if I were lucky, I could connect to some Wi-Fi to run an insurance quote if I could access each individual carrier's software. So even from there, as a young guy building up his own business, working with younger clientele as well, is very difficult still doing that back of the napkin. Let's teach you about insurance and your financial well-being with a pen and a piece of paper when there's so much more opportunity in other industries, the way tech was advancing. So really from that's where over the last little while I've been working in the insurtech space as well, really helping to advance those technologies, both from really the feedback from advisors, from their clients, from my own personal experiences, and really looking to shape technologies to help advance that overall experience for both advisor and client.
Definitely. Yeah, I was laughing when you mentioned the paper applications. Some of them are 40, 50 pages long. It's incredible. The amount of paper the insurance industry generates.
And if you can't,
if
you don't do it correctly too, and you got to X something out, then there you go. You're on page 45 and you got to start over again. It's not Not a nice clean backspace like a computer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it, huh? And it's funny is insurance companies are one of the few industries that I know that still use fax machines quite regularly.
Yeah,
You know,
I've said a few times if I could be part of the death of fax and make things simpler that way, that would be just a great achievement personally.
yeah, I hear you. I don't miss fax machines at all. Um, so as we get into it, is one of the things that has always been a passion for me is consumers and making a better consumer experience. How do you feel that technology helps life insurance agents present more consumer-friendly options?
Yeah, from the more consumer-friendly options, that almost comes back to that talk about, hey, we're at a table, here's a napkin and a pen and paper, and trying to draw to what you can from memory and hope that a client can follow that with ease. But with the advancement of technologies, both on the fintech or insurtech side, really being able to showcase through charts, visuals, writing, however that may be, to really illustrate a point to a client with greater ease. We know from working with various clients or reading various academia that obviously different people have different personalities and they read into different information differently. So again, I may prefer charts, you may prefer writing, but technology really gives us that ability to create more presentable material for clients based on their persona type. But on top of that, it really gives that capability to present on-demand data and comparisons. There can be web presence and ability to interact with clients digitally. It really, again, goes back to that. The old way, I'm running around with a giant laptop and paper-based apps, hoping I can connect to internet or get a point across. But the new way is instant mobile access. You can sort and compare products for a client. A client could sort and compare products on their own through a pre-screened needs assessment to lead them to the right types of product and advice before they even speak with someone. So by even having that more informed consumer right from the get-go, by being more informed, we know they're more likely to buy as well, because they're going to have more confidence in knowing maybe what they do need.
Definitely. Well, those are great points. And I also feel that a more informed consumer is a consumer who's more likely to retain the insurance policy. As we know, most insurance policies, not most insurance policies, but a very high percentage will lapse in the first 5 years. And it's oftentimes because the consumers haven't picked a policy that really meets their needs. And you go out 4 or 5 years and you're like, why do I have this policy? It doesn't really do anything. And then they buy their next policy from a different insurance agent. So, I completely agree is that, it helps with the buying process, but it also helps with the retention process. It makes for a happier client at the end of the day. So that's definitely a good point.
That gives a good piece that I've always felt, and why it's been great to take on more the insurtech space. Is fintechs, especially on the investment side, has had a lot more interest and attention over the past years. But probably most everyone at this point has some form of direct investing account. They're getting on-demand, real-time information about their about their investment portfolio, but there is rarely any of that same experience with an insurance portfolio and how they're accessing that information. I know there are a few players who maybe in a bit of that direct-to-consumer space who've started to create that client interaction and client wallets to be able to start building that interactivity. But that's a very important piece as well. Like you said, from retention, how are you keeping them engaged and seeing what benefit they're getting from the policy versus tucking it away in a cupboard drawer or desk drawer.
Definitely. Yeah. And you raised a very good point about, most consumers who are doing investing have some kind of technology that enables that process. But what's really amazing is that there aren't more comprehensive insurance wallets, because pretty much every person in the United States has an insurance policy, and not just one insurance policy. When you think about the different types of coverages, they'll have 4 or 5 different insurance policies, and it's still paper. I know with my auto insurance, I still get a paper document, and I have to put that little paper card, in my, in my car. And it's still, it's like, really, that's the best we can do at this point. But yeah, we're changing. So, as we talk about, efficiency is money for companies. So, how is technology going to help increase efficiency in the insurance space?
Yeah, I guess how is it going to, and how has it already helped, especially with the assistance of the pandemic, where we've really seen a little bit more of that paradigm shift. Insurance was forced to change, so at least that started getting it to change as well. When it comes to technology's increase in efficiency, it really comes to a few points. You're going to have instant access. So instant access to information. So a client can learn everything they need to know about a product or be able to access all their documents in real time. Same thing, an advisor is going to have instant access to their client or prospective client's information to either begin building a relationship or continue to build that rapport and maintain that relationship. That client advisor interactivity now is key in how you can work together more efficiently. And just simple examples like, for myself, where I'm located in Toronto, and you're basically the largest commuter city in the country and one of the worst commute cities in North America, outside of probably, LA being maybe one of the worst, but then from anyone dialing in maybe in California, Ontario, or any large cities, how much time are you spending in traffic, or how much time were you spending in traffic pre-pandemic just to go pick up a void check to be able to submit a fax for premium payments? You could be hours sitting in traffic for one pickup, where now you can have a client upload that document on their own with a notification. It's all self-serving, it's all automated. So you're not spending time on redundant tasks. You're spending on time with your clients on more important tasks about making sure they have the right products, making sure they understand what they own, making sure they're building their portfolios or their insurance protection, and really doing what you're set out to do in the insurance industry, and is be that expert in valued advice, not collector of documentation.
That pretty much sums up the old insurance sales experience. Is once you've placed it, is you really became a document collector. Is, hey, your client hasn't signed this form. We need you to sign this form, and either you were faxing it over or walking it over to their office. I was in downtown San Francisco, and most of my clients were in downtown San Francisco, so that was easy. I could just pop over to their office and get them to sign something, but still, that would take a half hour, 45 minutes out of the day, and then and then the next document comes along, because the insurance companies, they don't think in terms of everything we need at once. It's like they get to a point, we need this document. We're not going to do anything until we get that document, and then you're doing one document at a time. So that's, yeah, I love that. I think that's really going to help reduce the underwriting time, which is a better experience for clients and for insurance agents.
Right. And then even just from the front end capabilities now, there's quite a few firms who are really attacking that, point of sale component through e-applications and getting those completed. But with each piece, you can only advance if you have collected all the necessary information that the carrier is going to request. Now, for myself, especially early in my career, how many times I was called back to have to drive back to the office because, the fantastic 4 letters, you've been NIGO'd, and I need to go back, go get an initial, go correct a piece of paper. How much time was wasted even in that sense, where now I've spoken with advisors now, they could be, again, pre-pandemic or especially pandemic, it's not work from home, it's work from anywhere, and it's work from anywhere anytime. So I've spoken to advisors where, they're on a ski lift in the winter, and, they could still, respond back to a client or get them the information or pass on the data to a carrier that they need at that same time. That client, theoretically at this point, could be helping sign and send those documents from a Caribbean vacation, all in like completely different locations from where that initial office base was. And that kind of, again, instant access and time saving really can help advance businesses, but it just really advanced that, we'll call it the human experience through technology as well.
Definitely. No, that's great. And, the point you make about clients being on vacation and being able to sign a document, or just, for everybody, as people are decentralized, and, having that capacity to be able to just do simple tasks when you're not at your desk is the future. So that's great. So, one of the things that's talked about with technology is that it's going to replace humans. And I don't necessarily think or agree that this is true in the insurance space, or, in financial services in general. I think there will always be, a place for human advisors. Since you've been, involved in technology, why do you feel that it's important to think about technology as enhancing human advisors rather than replacing them? And do you agree that technology won't fully replace human advisors?
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen in the trends where direct to consumer was going to be the ultimate game changer and the quote unquote death of the advisor. But anyone who's been in the industry, anyone who's generally experienced the industry, even as a client, know that insurance products are inherently complex. They can't just be understood in one or two sentences and know that you have the right product. You do need that human advice and interaction, the ability to understand what type of goals you're trying to achieve, what kind of needs you have, and then being able to bring that to light in proper recommendations, but then follow up and enhancement. And the way I've always kind of thought of it when I first started in the industry, it was maybe a year in. I'm seeing one of my clients to the elevator out of the office, and we hug goodbye as one of the managers within the office walks by through, and then see her off to the elevator. But then he asks, "Oh, well, you hug all of your clients?" Or like, I do. I genuinely care about their well-being, their outcome, and having a human tied to that outcome who has the knowledge and the passion and the care to see that through can't be replaced by technology, but it can absolutely be enhanced by technology. And that's maybe been the key driver over the last while working in the insurtech space as well. Is it's a very antiquated system with many advisors who do have this knowledge base and who do care for their clients, and you can't take away from that. But the average advisor's age in the industry now is around 60 years old. The average age is about to retire, not even the oldest age. The average age is about to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And we have this gap right now between millennial and Gen Z advisors, as well as the millennial and Gen Z clients that are going to be coming into the space looking for that advice as well. Like, we know millennials just turned 40 this year. Gen Zers just entered the workforce, and combined they make up about 40% of the population. But this population is growing up almost entirely digitally connected, if not entirely digitally connected, with some of the younger part of that workforce. So they are very much unforgiving in that digital tool and experience. Like, I think I read this week that a Gen Zer can't go 4 hours without internet access, and that they're 90% or higher in multitasking all the time. But that's not to even knock them and what they're doing. That's that they've lived that tech space and that tech experience. But so you need to meet your future clients where they are. But the good news is this cohort that needs this digital experience is also some of the most advice seeking out there. Gen Zers, and I guess even millennials as well, they've grown up experiencing not one, but two once in a lifetime market crashes. They understand that there's risk to their finances. They know that they need to have a proper financial plan to make it through, and make it through these more increasing repetitive market crashes that could really hurt you in the long term. So they're out there, they're looking for advice. They want it. They want to connect with someone. But if you don't have a web page, if you don't have the digital tools, there's zero trust. if I can't find you online, how do I even know you're a real person at this point? You need to know for certain that there's something there to match with the human experience. So that's a really long-winded, how do you enhance that human advisor experience, and can they be replaced? Absolutely not. But they can be very much enhanced and need to be if they're thinking about business succession and business growth with their clients moving forward.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that is so spot on, and sometimes that's missed. But I think, and you track a lot of these companies, so you've seen a lot of these D2C companies have quietly started distributing through insurance agents. They don't, advertise it, I guess, very loudly, but when you look on their websites, there's a new portion, 4 agents, and they're bringing in insurance agents to help sell insurances. As you point out at the beginning, it's a complex product, but it's about connecting with people and really understanding what a person's goals are and what they're really looking to achieve. And when you have those conversations, like you're talking about, is maybe AI will be able to have those conversations someday, but we're not there yet. We can have a conversation, really start to understand, as you point out, what gives a person passion? What are they really trying to achieve? So, I love that. I think that's great, great viewpoint. Really, we've talked about financial wellness, and the big question is, how is technology going to help increase financial wellness and financial literacy?
Really, again, it comes back to that accessibility and that customer-centric experience. Part of that is, even through accessibility, we create the opportunity for a more equitable environment too. I know if I'm speaking to any insurance advisor and they're trying to grow their business, if we just talk on that side to start, one of the biggest problems they're looking to solve is, how do I increase my client base and how do I grow revenue so that I can build my business? And obviously with the line of being able to provide that better financial literacy, better wellness. But at the same time, there are many people out there who are advice seeking and looking for advice, but they don't have the necessary access or know how to look in the right space. And technology can really build that gap to really bring a better experience to, I guess, everyone across the board, regardless of location, demographic, or again, just financial education. And really, if we're looking at it from what the technology itself can do, aside from that tech connectivity, it can just really help create that library of concepts. It can help bring these concepts to life through, again, like I mentioned earlier, charts and graphs and painting that visual picture. Oh, now I understand what they mean by the time value of money. Oh, now I really understand what they mean by the cost of borrowing. Or why does insurance matter? Well, here's a life event, and here's what happens to your well-being, your health, your finances. Here's how insurance protects that. That can all be really presented in a cleaner function through technology, and again, more widespread, so that more people can get that help and that understanding as well. And I think that's really where it helps create that financial literacy and improvement to that.
Yeah, I love that, because I think what we're starting to do in the industry is to flip, it from being a product first industry to solving a challenge first industry. And I think that's where consumers will feel much better about the products, because they'll be getting the products they need to solve their challenges. Then, the old way is like, hey, I'm going to try to sell you an index universal life insurance, and that's going to solve all your problems, rather than, okay, here's your problem, and maybe an index UL policy is the right policy. Maybe it's a term policy, who knows? But that's going to increase somebody's financial wellness in my book, is helping them, having them discover, helping them discover what's going to meet their needs. So that's fantastic. So Kyle, sorry.
And that touches really on even, I was speaking about it all from the consumer side, but like you said, maybe I've been trained to sell a universal life product and not a permanent policy or just term based on the client's needs. But technology, instead of sticking to that one, I learned it on how to write it on a piece of paper to sell. Now I can use technological tools that are going to help fit in and also explain. So for me on the sales process, again, we are in a sales industry and bringing the product to the clients, but being that conduit and using technology to be able to explain better that specific client scenario also improves the advisor's experience from a financial literacy standpoint as well. So they can present more scenarios to a client more easily to find that better fit. So yeah, I really like mention there.
Yeah, and we didn't even get into that, but that's a great point. That technology also helps educate themselves on the different products, because carriers are pumping out products left and right, or they're introducing slight variations. And as somebody who's a longtime agent, advisor, it's hard to keep up with all the products in the marketplace, and who's got this tweak and who's done what. And technology can help you with that selection process, and I think that's a huge boon to the agents as well. So that's a fantastic point. So as we wrap up, what is your number one tip on financial wellness?
Yeah, thinking back and putting my advisor hat on and experiences as well, maybe two pieces that kind of fit into the same realm as well. So one is understand your means and live within your means. And that's at every income level. That doesn't matter what your income or wealth status is at. This whole keeping up with the Joneses syndrome is like a real negative effect. Do you need to get that new car? Do you need to get that bigger house? What are your personal goals to really achieve, and how do you create and build a budget to live within that, and then also plan for your future? And when planning for your future, the second part that's a spin-off to that would maybe that really kind of bringing it into sports is, defense is the best offense. When you're really starting and building out, there's no get rich quick. Everything has that compounding factor to it, whether that be interest or your own actions. So starting with the defense first, an emergency fund to get you through a few months of really weathering any type of storm, like job loss and injury, a market crash, whatever that may be. Building insurance plans that become that foundation to protect the wealth that you start to build, and really focusing on debt reduction. And I find that's a really important conversation right now, especially with increasing rates, that being aware that, and this is maybe a lesson learning for many at this point, but maybe you were living within your means on a variable rate piece of debt 2 years ago, but you may not be now, because there are those market factors, and understanding that there are the ebbs and flows. And then really from there, once you've built this foundation of insurance, emergency fund, reduced debt, so now you can flow your income and your cash flow to building your wealth. Another piece that speaking to a lot of individuals, especially in the millennial demographic, with the way house prices have increased recently too, is, okay, you're planning to buy a house. If you're going to plan to buy a house and save for a house, my biggest piece is practice your mortgage. So if your rent right now is $2,000 a month and your mortgage is going to cost you $4,000 a month, then every month put away $2,000 just towards your house savings, plus any other expenses that might go into that. So maybe it's $5,000 a month. So when you buy that house, you're not blown away by the impact of the now $5,000 a month versus your $2,000 rent, and what that's doing to your day-to-day living. And then if you can't handle that, then maybe you need to think smaller house, maybe condo, or maybe you continue to rent for a longer period of time as well.
That's great advice. And actually, yeah, the two tips, because what you're talking about right there gets back to living within your means, and thinking about what's realistic. The other thing that's important, and I think this was the thread through everything that we discussed today, is that insurance is a foundation to everything else. And you have to protect against risk if you're going to be financially successful. And insurance agents are dedicated to, helping people protect themselves against risks. And technology just helps them to do that better, to help their clients be protected against risks. So that's fantastic stuff.
Absolutely. It's, I guess, giving the insurance plug, because that was some of our primary conversation too, is that the importance of it, if we put it into, the sporting examples again, is I've been an avid rock climber in the past as well. And that piece when you're really tying into the wall and being connected to the rock face, you're going to clip in and you're going to continue to climb and continue to clip in. Those clips are there. So if you fall, you don't fall that far. So there's the difference between a free climb and being fully clipped into the rock face, is that what happens if you fall from your current state? Well, the insurance is there to catch you and just keep you safe so you can continue climbing. And that's really why that needs to be one of those first pieces to consider when going forward and building. What kind of tools are you bringing from a safety perspective as you really begin your climb?
Yeah, I love that analogy. I've used parachutes, similar things, so it's what are you going to do to help yourself so that when you slip, because we are going to slip in our lives, that the slip doesn't kill you. That's a big thing. So, Kyle, where can people find out more about you? Where can they stay in touch with you?
Absolutely. I think I'll share within this podcast as well, but I could just through LinkedIn, we'll have the link available to connect. And that's always maybe the best way to connect, because it's always great to, be followed or follow individuals as well and really get their takes on the industry, see what they're doing, seeing how they're approaching it as well. Really great space to just share ideas. And again, with the entire focus that we implement technologies and advance them so that we can advance the insurance industry. And by advancing the insurance industry, we just improve financial wellness and well-being for our clients at all stages of life.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, thanks very much for coming on the podcast today and for sharing this. Has been an excellent conversation. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, I appreciate the time as well.
Definitely. All right, everybody. And thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Tony Steuer Podcast. Until next time.